welcome back to another week of Hit the Gap podcast. Round 2 and 3 are concluded as we come to you today. A couple big rounds, few big margins. The scorelines were pretty vast between a few teams there in a few of those games.
It's definitely there was a couple games there where it was really not so great games. I guess even the quality of them, general quality.
Yeah.
But especially in that in round 2 for sure. But round 3, Jesus Christ. Round 3, it was just everyone wanted to sort of, I guess, make a statement. Make a statement. There was a lot of big games. A lot of big scoreline games in round 3.
Yeah, there were a couple upsets too in round 3, I know, for sure. Round 2 anyway, obviously we had Broncos defeating Rabbitohs, Sharks taking down the Bulldogs. We sort of saw that coming. Panthers only just pipping the Eels, which was sort of a close one until maybe right up toward the end there, I think, from memory in that game.
That's the one that dudded me. I thought, the Eels are generally that Achilles heel for those Panthers,
Yeah, usually the bogey team in the last couple of years they have been anyway. So it's always a close game with those two. But Panthers this time coming out on top. Unlike the last year or so, I think Eels have been getting it over them.
Eels beat them all year last year until the grand finals.
Yep, and then Raiders. The 2 years ago. You're right. Yeah, and then Raiders taking the Tigers out. Which, I mean, the Tigers. They didn't play great, but they didn't play as horribly as we would have expected.
They showed promise, and that really carried through to this week. That's for sure.
It did, yeah, round 3, you're right.
Wow.
It did carry over for sure. I mean, the scoreline doesn't really show that 32-12. Not a great score. Go down by 20, but yeah, it was.
But that said, you got to remember that those Raiders, man, they're a resilient team. Ricky's really drummed them home, I think, this year.
Very, very gritty side. I mean, they have been for however long, but they really do. They get in that grind, and
they're not one to take a loss, that's for sure. And even if they're going to take a loss, they're going to make you earn it, bro.
Yeah, exactly right. And then other game being Cowboys Knights. That one was pretty diabolical to watch as a Cowboys fan. The first half, well, really the first 40 minutes, maybe even just a bit more than that, was pretty hard to watch, but very close. Cowboys really lucky to end up coming out on top in that one.
I don't know about you, but I was on the edge of my seat for the most of that game.
Yeah, pretty heartbreaking for Knights fans out there anyway, really, but yeah, we probably didn't deserve to win it. We come away with the 2 points in the end anyway. That's all that matters really, I guess, but
Yep.
Yeah, tough one to watch.
There were definitely moments that made me think we earned it, but then there was a lot of moments that were like, maybe we should have taken a loss just to give us a bit of humility.
We got lucky, yeah. The other close one in round 2 was the Storm and Warriors.
Oh my God.
That's one that I thought the Warriors had. They had it tied up until well right at the end there. There was some.
They did, yeah. It's the last 5 seconds.
yeah, massive plays and it was the Warriors' game to lose, which they did, unfortunately.
Kind of, funnily enough, exact same circumstances this week, just they didn't ice it this time.
Yeah, exactly right. Being in Melbourne, it was always going to be a bit harder for the Warriors, but yeah, it was a bit tough for Warriors fans, I think, anyway.
Oh. And I mean, it's tough, but at the same time, you seriously can't help but just ooze respect for people like Xavier Coates. That was.
Oh yeah, that try.
That
amazing.
Was
he's actually been in form this year. Last year as well, but yeah, this year he's maintained that form.
I feel like even last year, he was getting his form back, sort of thing. Remember when he first sort of debuted and he was he was turning heads everywhere.
Yeah, coming.
And then they worked him out.
Yeah.
And then he started getting just swarmed all the time, so he couldn't really make much impact no matter where you played him. But
yeah.
Last year he started to come back a bit of form, and this year, oh Jesus, off to a good start.
Yeah, he maintaining it really well. Sea Eagles Roosters. That was a relatively close game as well. 21-14, obviously being the scoreline, not massive, but that could have gone either way. It felt like until toward the end there. I think DCE put that field goal over a bit earlier just to assure it, but yeah.
That was just a clinical game, really, from the Manly boys.
Again, another one where they both played in Vegas, just playing opposing teams, obviously, and it just showed, that form from the Vegas games carried over. It did carry over still. Dolphins and Dragons was the last game of the round, which Dolphins got a bit of retribution in that one, the 38-0
And
scoreline.
wasn't this like the strangest thing to watch? Who I want to know who actually picked Finns. Who went Finns up this week, or for this week in particular?
By that scoreline,
after that round one performance, it was like, what on earth?
Yeah, by that margin. I know I tipped Dolphins in round 2 just because I thought they'd hit back, and I wasn't sold on the Dragons just yet. But
and I mean, look at how Dragons played in game 1, so it was sort of like
yeah, exactly right. It was just something where it was, like they played well, but it was almost a question of, did they play super under strength, out of form Titans, or were they on fire? Which I think they sort of got found out in that game. I mean, not to take anything away from their performance in round 1, but yeah, the Dolphins just a lot stronger, looking to hit back after round 1, I think. Anyway, game of the round for that one. Hard to pick, I think. Really, probably for me anyway. I'd say probably that Warriors Melbourne game, just for how close it was, and
I think for me, from like an excitement standpoint, it has to be that game. But if I'm looking at it from like just a clear good footy game in terms of like what I'm seeing in terms of grittiness, in terms of an 80-minute game where both teams out on their feet, just absolutely pumping for it.
Yep,
it's got to be that Manly Roosters.
Yep. Yeah, that was another tough one too. Another close game.
That's probably like a close one to that would have been the Eels and Panthers game.
Yep.
But really, the Eels just clocked out at the end and couldn't get it done. So,
moving on to round 3. Now, this one was as we were saying before, there were a few larger score lines. The margin was a bit different for some of these teams here. Now, first game of the round being Broncos Panthers. Now, going into it, I think everyone knew it was going to be a tough one for the Broncos, just for the fact no Adam Reynolds, and then the late exclusion of Payne Haas, who we know is out for 6 to 8 weeks potentially, depending on recovery. He needs to go in for surgery for that knee of his. So Reynolds we're not too sure on just yet, but we always knew it was going to be tough. But then losing Walsh minutes, it was only early in the match, really, wasn't it? That first half
controversy.
First half anyway, but yeah, losing Walsh early in that match really made it a lot harder for them. There were, a few positional changes. Obviously, Cobbo had to drop back to fullback, which he's played before. It's not that it's new to him, but just the dynamic of that team, it really reshuffled it. Throwing Piakura out into the centre, where being an edge, you're not getting thrown too far into the deep end, but
you could still see it was just not comfortable.
Yeah, he wasn't comfortable, exactly right. Just for, I think, their gameplay, what they've practiced and whatnot.
It's hard enough as a rookie as well, man. You got a lot on your shoulders.
Coming up against the Panthers.
And against the Panthers of all teams.
Could have been any other team, but it was the Panthers, and they like all good teams do, sniff out that bit of weakness or just a bit of confidence not there and just manipulate it, target it, and they did well. They hammered him a bit there, I think, actually. Taylor May ran his way a few times, I believe.
Didn't he?
Yeah, which we know ended up 34-12 in the end, that one, which was a tough one for Broncos fans. A little bit of controversy you were touching on being the Taylor May tackle, which I think most everyone, bar Panthers fans, sort of thought was a little bit sketchy. Now, for me, I don't get me wrong, I do love big hits. I do love the aggression and, good tackles in the game, but the precedent's been set the past couple years, I think, with tackles and dangerous tackles at that, dangerous plays. I mean, I don't think he went in with any intent to fracture Walsh's cheek, but he wasn't tackling correctly. He wasn't going in for
maybe
a proper
he
tackle.
Doesn't intend to do as much damage as he does.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's still leapt from the ground.
Yeah, when you look at...
Yeah. I look at that the same way that I look at Hopper's tackle from literally 15 years ago.
Yeah.
When he hit Galloway that time, and then he got... how long did he get for that? I think it was 12 weeks.
Yeah.
It was...
Although he did have a bit of a rap sheet that probably added to
so
that.
Does Taylor
he would have been lucky. He would have been lucky.
Maybe not quite the level of Hopper's, but
yeah.
No fingers in incidents anyway.
But yeah, I do tend to agree with you. Like a perfect example to draw it back on is only a year or two ago, where Finucane against the Panthers came out and same thing, strong hard run and just hammered Crichton and split his ear. but the refs and the officials, in their eyes, said it was reckless. He wasn't, there was no duty of care in making the tackle where, again, like I said, you love to see a big hit, but he wasn't coming in to wrap the arms or make a correct tackle. He just came out to hit him and hammer him, where there was no difference in this. Panthers fans and people can say whatever they want. He was falling, Walsh was falling or whatnot. He didn't intend to come in.
Which is fair, he was.
Yeah, but if you look at it, that Taylor May at that point, as NRL, as the refs have been adjudicating in that, Taylor May at that point has the duty to pull out of the tackle or anything else. You know what I mean? And it's hard. It's a hard one to navigate. It does sort of make it tougher on the game. We love when it's good physical contact, and the game's a hard fought game. But yeah, there's just the precedent's been set, I think, and the fact that it was penalised. He wasn't sent off. It wasn't a sin bin, I should say, not sent off. It wasn't a sin bin. And the match review committee said it's all good. Incidental, I believe I heard, whether that was the case, but match review committee...
Which is now all out the window as well, because what happens now? I mean, literally just an hour ago, Annesley's come out and said, hey, that's the wrong call.
Yep.
He should have been charged at least. At the very minimum, he should have been fined, and he should have missed weeks.
Which, with
very interesting,
all controversial or incorrect calls that we see regularly, it feels like these days. What's too bad, so sad. We're sorry. We're sorry. Better luck next time, I guess.
Shout out South Park.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether the match review committee get a bit of a talking to, or you need to pull your head in a bit and have some consistency, but who knows? Again, like I said, just to reiterate, I don't think he did intend to do any damage like he did, and
not as much as he.
And you do love the big hard hits, but yeah, just the consistency is ridiculous, because I can guarantee in the next 5 rounds there'll be a tackle probably not resulting in as much damage, but not as vicious, and someone's going to get hammered for it. So
probably for multiple weeks too.
Yeah, it just sort of, it doesn't help the narrative where the protected species sort of narrative. You know what I mean?
I was literally just about to say, what's the bet? It's not a Panther player.
Yeah, and it's not. That's not the Panthers' fault. That's the officials and match review committee. So anyway, we'll move on from that. That's enough on that one. But yeah,
we could go for hours on it.
Yeah, great game by the Panthers. Really, it was always going to be a tough one for the Broncos. We knew that, but yeah, great game from the Panthers. They really just showed that they are that team, that they are dominant. They're a strong side, but any sign of weakness, they will take
They sniffed
advantage.
It out immediately, and then I mean, it's no secret that Nathan Cleary is also, well, obviously one of the best in the game in general, but one of the best at sort of seeing someone playing out of position or playing where they're not comfortable, identifying it, and then immediately just standing on the throat straight away.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what he did. He found those players that moved, and he absolutely snuffed them.
Yep,
so
that's exactly right.
Fair play to him.
Taking advantage of it like all good players do.
Mm-hmm.
Next game on Friday was Warriors-Raiders. Now, this one, the Warriors did manage to clinch. This was at home, so it was always going to be a tough one for the Raiders, I think. Now, I did have the Raiders tipped as a smoky up until probably an hour before. I just sort of took all things into consideration and changed it to the Warriors. But it was a tough game, man. Like, it was close. It
was at Christchurch too, so they really wanted to sort of stand up and get everyone going down there. So
the Raiders were close, in my opinion, to clawing it back toward the end there. Like, they weren't ever out of the game as such.
It's business as usual for Ricky Stewart and the boys, honestly. Like, I mean, I thought it was fantastic gameplay from them, and I think if you're Ricky, you leave that stadium going, You still did really. You still came away with a win in my hearts, boys. Like, that was sick.
Form wasn't bad by any means. It was a tough game,
just a gritty game.
Yeah. I think
the scoreline in general reflects it. I mean, it's not very often you get a game where both teams have scored points and it's still under 30. Like, that's something.
Exactly right. With the next game being this one was. Talking about blowout scores or the margin being quite vast. Quite a shock was the Roosters-Rabbitohs, which in years gone by has generally always been a bit of a derby of sorts. Like, it's always
staple,
been a lot tougher of a game.
Normally a week later though at Easter.
Yeah, you're right. It is generally generally a bit better of a game to watch, I would say.
I tell you what, man, if you're a Bunnies fan, you're really not stoked at what you're seeing. But I feel like everyone going into this game sort of knew. Yeah, look, you look at the teams, who's in, based on who's out. You're probably going to say that Roosters are going to win this one. I think everyone was pretty knowing of that fact, or at least comfortable with that fact. But I don't think anyone thought it was going to be this, like, just bad. Like, it was rough to
the
watch.
performance
Man.
was really
just-
average from the
I don't
Rabbitohs.
care.
Like it was hard. It was I mean, not a Rabbitohs supporter by any means, but it was hard to watch. I had Roosters just based on form, what we've seen from round one onwards.
Yep.
I had Roosters. I had to go Roosters, but Rabbitohs they had Whiten come back in as well. Now dropping Ilias was an interesting one that round. I mean, I'm not too sure what Demetrio's.
I'm not a coach. I don't play footy. But Christ Almighty, that has to be possibly. There has to be something else going on behind the scenes there, because that made no sense to me. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
Couldn't believe it.
I mean, if you're going to experiment, get it out of the way early in the season.
Mm.
But it may very well be tougher for them to claw the season back if they don't sort themselves out sooner rather than later.
And I mean, I can understand the Cook thing too. And
Yeah.
even though I think he still played a little bit as well, but
Yeah,
he still played minutes.
yeah.
But I can understand why they did that.
Mm.
But the Ilias thing is just, I don't know.
The Cook Havili thing was a bit more tactical. It's a bit almost like the Origin approach,
Exactly.
You wear him out and then bring him on and take advantage of your tired forwards and that and get some ruck speed. But
And that's Cookie's biggest advantage, really.
exactly right, always has been. But yeah, dropping Ilias, I don't know. It's just, it reminds me of a couple of years ago. I think Ilias got hooked halfway through the game or early in a game when they weren't doing too well, and I don't think it can do well for his confidence at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
As a half, I don't know. I don't think he's been that bad. It's not Ilias's problem. There's deeper issues. And everyone's been calling it out for a long time. They've been calling out the things they see wrong. But again, none of us are coaches, so
I don't think there's a single person who is willing to sort of come out and go, hey, yeah, it's Ilias's fault.
yeah, exactly right.
I think Ilias is nowhere near the problem at that club right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, credit to Dean Hawkins for stepping in and having a go, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure whether he's going to be named this week again or what the go is, but I think, yeah, Demetrio got it wrong there, and there's probably not much more room to hide or avoid the conversations or long, hard looks at some of the players that are contributing to the issue. So
Agreed, 100%.
Which we're not going to harp on about. We all know the superstars who aren't always performing up to standard in that team. But back onto the Roosters. The Roosters are just on fire at the moment, man. They are all really, really humming. Like Teddy started the year on fire. Probably good. For him in comparison to last year. He did have a really
I was going to say, I
year.
think he's taken a lot of offence to what was said last year.
Yeah, possibly.
I think he's come out of that season and gone, yeah, what some people are saying is really frustrating.
Yep.
And I can be better, and I'm gonna be better.
And it has.
Jesus, man.
He's performing for the better. You know what I mean? Like,
he is on the pump.
Yeah. Roosters and Teddy himself, who've been notorious the last few seasons for starting slow. Like, in comparison, they've come out of the gate hard, which is good. Hopefully, not only to lose steam, sort of thing, but their form early has been great. I mean, that scoreline, man, 48-6 is insane. Usually it's a lot grittier of a game, and whether it be a bigger scoreline or whatnot, they're generally a lot closer. But yeah, they were on fire. It was almost like everyone in that Roosters team were going to go over for a try at one point there, it felt like.
JWH coming back as well was incredible. I think
big in for the
we
forwards,
we knew that it was going to be a struggle for the Rabbits in the middle, especially with kind of lacking at the moment. We knew it was always going to be a struggle. But man, did JWH make it look like a walk in the park.
Yeah,
like,
and
wow.
For his 300th game too, like, what a way to celebrate. I mean, I could talk shit on JWH all I want because, nothing's going to change my mind that he is quite a grub on the field, but he is an enforcer. He is their enforcer.
He is an enforcer.
He does have, the experience and the stats to back it up. So
it's probably no different to anyone talking about Josh Maguire or anything
Yeah,
like that as
exactly
well.
right. I mean, yeah, any
He
team
was,
he goes to,
yeah.
I'm not going to back him up. But
Yep.
yeah, yeah, like he did. He had a great game for his 300. So good to him. Good on him, man. And you've got your young forwards as well, like Talon May. Terrell May.
Terame, yeah.
Talon's brother, Terrell May. There, giant. He's a giant.
He also had a cracker.
He's been going hard since round one, man. So I think he's sort of making a name to hold down that spot.
Mm.
As well as you got Tupanua,
Tupanua,
on
yeah.
the edge. I almost confused him with Wong for a second there. So, who I think had a bit better of a game anyway. But yeah,
Had his work cut out for him though.
yeah, massive score line. You know what I mean? 48-6 is it's rather dramatic in the end there.
And it doesn't stop there.
He is hoping, yeah, next time they meet, it's a bit closer a game. And the next one being, Bulldogs Titans. So that really answered a few questions. It was a bit harder last week having the Titans on the bye, so you can't really draw a form line or anything just yet. But I mean, if this game's anything to go by, not taking anything away from the Bulldogs, but the Titans were atrocious.
I think because we all get together and we all watch the games with all the boys on the weekend and stuff like that. And I think there's not a single person that was in the room that said anything other than, how do you go from a team that can attack and not defend into a team that can't do either?
Yeah, exactly right. Which has been their problem the last few years. You know what I mean? They can attack, they just can't defend for shit. But
and now they just
can't do anything.
That organized. So it's just like, geez,
what the issue is, I don't know.
And
I'm not too sold on having Tanner Boyd as their 7. I mean, I think he's probably best used as a utility, a 14, but they let Fogarty go and Sexton as well, so I'm not too sure what their plan is there, what they're going to do moving forward. Are they cashing?
Was that a Holbrook move or was that a Hasler move? I think it was a Holbrook, right? That was Holbrook. Yeah.
I'm not too sure. It was last season. Sexton moved off. I don't know whether they said, look, we're not going to re-sign you or what the go was there, but Fogarty anyway was Holbrook. So he ended up down at the Raiders, who you can see he's doing pretty well there now.
Doing fantastic,
after injury and that he's doing quite well. So I'm not too sure of the thinking on it. Keanu Kinney had a tough game, a really tough game. They targeted him. The Bulldogs.
I mean, I was going to say I don't think he played that badly, but Jesus, he got stomped on a bit.
Yeah, he did. He had a tough game. They and again talking about the Panthers about targeting, inexperience or finding that weakness and targeting it. They held him down. They were on top of him all game, and it benefited the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs played like phenomenally, I think. Honestly, again. Titans, not the greatest performance at all, quite atrocious, but yeah, not taking anything away from the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs.
I mean, you've got to really stand up and give props to like both Kickout and Critter as well. I think you saw a little gleam of Panthers in there, you know, and it was sort of reminiscent of those days, and it was
like an old combination clicking there.
Yeah, just instantly clicking.
Yeah.
And Matty Burton was really good too.
Yep.
So
Hutchinson, I was quite confused as to why Hutchinson was there as opposed to Sexton, because I thought Sexton did well last year, but I think Hutchinson's going to keep that spot for a little bit longer. He's again someone I think is probably better as a utility, but can't complain after that.
Could be an age thing.
Yeah, can't complain about that performance on the weekend, honestly. Who else? I mean, Preston.
End of the day, they kept him to a duck egg, so it is what it is.
Exactly right. Not putting a point on is something else. So
I mean, they're going to come out of that game and like they're not going to talk about. They're not going to like the Bulldog staff are not going to talk about that 32. You know, no one of the dogs is talking about 32. They're talking about 0.
The 0, yeah, 0. They kept him to, and the solid defensive effort, which is positive signs for him. So
that's a big boon going into next week.
Yeah, take confidence into next week. That's exactly right. I mean, it's positive signs for the Dogs this week, which is good.
Actually, that's right. That it was Kiraz as well. Jacob Kiraz.
Yep.
I think he's probably had his best game that we've seen as well.
Yep. Playing in the centres, he...
even out of last year as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, on the wing, he burst onto the scene and he was a superstar. That's where he made his name for himself, and I think centres is where he wants to be playing, from what I hear.
I think centres would probably be a decent go for him.
Yeah, from what I hear anyway, that's his preferred position. He wants to have a go there. But yeah,
Put a
he
bit of
did.
size on.
He definitely had probably the best game he's had all season. Yep, relatively quiet the first two rounds, somewhat, but yeah, really burst out and yeah, made that position his own there. Next game, Saturday game was the Dragons Cowboys. Now this one was another one, 20 minutes, even half an hour into the game. I just had my head in my hands. I thought, here we go, it's round two all over again, but seemingly worse because I think it was 18-0 near half time or toward half time there from memory.
And I mean, ignoring score lines for a second as well.
Yeah.
And while it is an impressive scoreline, just like the last ones have been impressive scorelines, despite last week, I think to come back to where that was, etc., etc., we've been there. But I think ignoring scorelines, the one thing that I think we really want to see more than anything is an 80-minute game from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
the scary thing is going in, seeing these games, and we're seeing, you know, the first 20, 30 minutes just being taken like a training run sort of thing, and it maybe there's a tactic to it. I don't know, but you do that against a good team, and they're not going to let you come back.
Yes.
They're gonna break that spirit.
Almost like they're slowly, you're right, warming up. I mean, last week was a bit harder to say that because they couldn't hold the ball or anything, it seemed like. But yeah, again, this week it was like the first 20 minutes, even first half an hour. You're right, it was like a training run. They just weren't going in. It didn't feel like they were serious about it until probably 10 minutes until half time there.
And like, full credit to Dragons as well. I mean, you let Zach Lomax have a proper go at it, and he will chew you up. On that edge, he's a gun.
And he did well. Again, he did.
Well,
he
got two tries, didn't he?
Yeah,
it was two tries. He didn't miss a kick all day.
He bombed. He might have bombed another one too. It could have been three from memory.
Yeah, it could have
been
three
as well, which we were quite lucky there. But back to what you were saying, you know, we want to see an 80-minute performance. Yeah, starting slow, giving 20 minutes up to any really solid team. Panthers, just for the sake of it, like we saw the other night. 20 minutes is more than enough time for them to lock a game up.
I mean, geez, you do it. Even if you do it to someone like the Raiders, you know, they're gonna strangle you.
That's exactly right. Once they just enough of a lead, all they're gonna do is defend. All they've got to do is defend, which we know certain teams do well, and you just make it infinitely harder for yourself to get back into the game.
100%.
Albeit the Cowboys they fired up a bit closer toward halftime there, and after halftime, I don't know what Toddy said to him in the sheds, but he must have put a rocket up them because they did come out. Yeah, they did come out ready to play. They did come out ready to play. I don't think he's been shaving his mustache. I think stress has been causing hair loss, but yeah, they did. They come out hard. It was almost like we'd seen a complete 180 from both teams, nearly. Like the Dragons did start all right in the second half, start of the second half, but they just, I don't know, they seemed to fall apart. I don't know what the problem was there for them. Like, it went from them just running upfield, storming up our middle, and like we have been the last few weeks, soft in the middle somewhat in defense, just running up the middle of the field and making meters, to us just doing that, you know, it was nothing.
It's kind of a strange switch. Kind of a strange switch because you look at it, and we were getting dominated that first 15, 20 minutes. We were getting literally dominated in midfield, which is incredibly strange for like versing the Cows forward pack. But after that, after they got through that little transition period, the switch was incredible. Like, I don't think there was a single bad thing I could say about a forward from the 30th minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
right.
we just pushed it up every single time, and they could not do a single thing about it.
And I mean, we had a few forwards go over. McIntyre, Neem, Kefu got a try as well. So
You only got two.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yep, it was a good performance.
In actual fact, I think he would have definitely got a second or even potentially a third if he didn't bomb that second one. But
yeah,
he would have potentially gotten a second or third as well if Val actually passed.
Yeah, yep, yeah. So it took a bit. I'm hoping they're gonna work that out in the next week or two. Have it sorted out by them, because it makes it stressful to watch. But yeah, solid win by the boys in the end there. Next game on the Saturday this was probably the biggest shock, in my opinion, was the Tigers Sharks, 32-6 to the Tigers at Leichhardt. So, Tigers faithfuls en masse, but that doesn't usually mean anything, really, does it?
I mean, I'll tell you what, I can't get over that stadium. Hey,
Yeah,
that was
suburban ground.
It was more than suburban, bro. It was honestly a thing
Spiritual.
of beauty to see that.
Yeah.
If that happens every single game, then geez, you're happy to be a Tigers fan, no matter what happens, really. But agreed. What a shocker! What a shock game. And there's so many questions I could ask, but the biggest one that I do want to ask is, how do you go from being rank 1 defense to being just dominated by the bottom team like that?
Yeah.
I can't even really call them the full bottom team. I think it's Titans, but
well, like you were saying with their performance against the Raiders, it was promising, and they showed it really.
Oh man, and it was like insane. I don't know what happened. It was honestly, there's definitely a lot to talk about with what happened with Nico. I think Nico, geez, it's not often he has a bludger of a game like that, but not. I think what was more concerning about it was that he just couldn't seem to untilt. He just unraveled and then unraveled and
kicks
unraveled,
out on the full.
and it just
Yep.
It just got worse and worse and worse. He couldn't get it back. He was dropping balls. He was trying to overplay his hand. He was kicking out on the full. It was just
got away from him a bit.
Yeah, just he couldn't get it back in.
Yeah, and that being said, if generally they are a bit more on their game, I think it would have been a lot closer of a game, or a lot harder anyway. Harder of a game, but the Tigers, they
You've
took
got to
advantage.
give full credit to him. I
mean, they took advantage of that fact. And
Appy Coruscant, stand up, brother.
Amazing.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly right.
Seriously.
Appy being probably one of their best, I think, in that game there, honestly.
I'm going to give it to Buller.
Yep.
He's going to be a star, man. And I think you pair him with Luai and Appy, and it's just, man,
positive,
he's going to be a freak. He'll be a freak as he gets a bit more experience under his belt.
Yeah, good signs. He did burst onto the scene last year and was quite solid. He was making a name for himself. Yeah,
promising.
Exactly right.
This year looks kind of dangerous,
Yeah,
man. Looks pretty good.
Good to see that he's continuing that form and only building on it, which is good. But
I think the other impressive part was Justin Olam.
Yeah, Olam did have a good game. First game for the Tigers, I believe. I
don't think I've seen him play that good for years.
Yeah, that was some like Melbourne Storm, finals performance from him. Maybe being given the opportunity to play again. I'm not too sure. I don't know, but
maybe also not with the comfort of a really safe team as well.
Yeah, exactly right. He did have a great game, going over for a try as well, Olam. But even in his defence, I think he was really solid, which was good to see him come back to
nice change,
a bit of form there.
Nice change.
Yeah, exactly right. So good signs for the Tigers. Good signs for Tigers, which is positive. The Sunday games, Eels Manly. Now, that was another one. That was a hard-fought game. Probably one of the better ones I've seen the last few rounds, really.
I would actually even argue that it was the best game of the season so far.
Yeah, Eels coming away with it just only
and
by 4
I only got
points.
to watch the first half.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, very, very strong performance from the Eels. Manly as well, but from the Eels.
That's worth. I did go back and watch the second half, but from what I watched initially, I was a bit sad I couldn't watch the second half straight away because it was bloody good.
I honestly thought the first 15 minutes or so, Manly are all over this.
This was going to be Manly run away.
Yeah, exactly right. But whether a little bit of, don't want to say arrogance or cockiness, but whether they sort of got a little bit complacent based on that, I don't know. But the Eels sort of started to fine tune things and come back and. Yeah, solid performance. Their forwards had very big games, I think, in my opinion. Again, it's another one where the forwards are sort of standing up for the Eels.
RCG had a stellar game.
Yeah, again.
Stellar.
Again. RCG, Tuolangi there in the on the edge. You know.
Actually, young Blaze, geez, first game and having a game like that too, that's outstanding.
He did sort of make a name for himself, which was good. He was quite solid. I mean, few errors there, which is to be expected, but
and they needed that with no Sivo, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Really showed up
to come in for a first game and play the way he did is very, very positive. He's
big stuff.
Got a lot of potential, which was good for them for sure. I think he went over for a try, but nearly two. He might have nearly gone over for a second one as well. Which is exciting for the young lad.
He was just slightly out of position for it. Cool. It was close, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I think I do want to also give credit to to Moses as well for how well he controlled the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And even though the chips were down to start with, he showed that, no, we're better than this, boys. We can pull this back.
Yeah, not out of it, not down and out, exactly right, which he does, and through his kicking game,
even if it nearly bloody took off the field.
Yeah, through lifting his arms up every 5 seconds, flapping his arms, running at players that are turned around, watching his kick to get a penalty, so he's escorted off the ball. Yeah, outside of that, that's exactly right. Really took control of it.
Look, I hate it, but geez, it's just smart play, and it's just knowing how to control a game. That's all it is.
That's it.
I hate it, but geez, good on him.
Yep. So big ups to the Eels on that one, coming away with that one. Like we said, close game, but probably I think one of the best, and as you said, probably best of the season so far. So
no doubt.
And last game being the Knights Storm. This one, I thought, I thought at halftime, wow, this is all Knights. Knights are not going to lose this. Melbourne did seem to claw it back, but I didn't actually watch this one. I listened to it on the radio, but all I could hear was how horrible the pairing was with Pezzett, Wishart, and you know what I mean? It was almost as if...
Very disjointed.
Yeah, the rest of the team were playing like normal Melbourne Storm, as if Munster or Hughes were there, and those two just weren't on board or weren't up to speed, which you can't expect much more, really. They haven't had that whole
But I still did expect more from the Storm.
Well, in terms of they haven't had that time to make those pairings, you know what I mean, like the other two. But yeah, from the Storm, exactly right. You'd expect more. I think every time there was some sort of momentum, there was a drop ball, knock on forward pass, something. Even Pappenhausen a couple times there making errors where they. I think he
just realised he was feeling a little alone in that game.
Possibly, yeah. Not much in the way of combinations or anyone to rely on.
And I think the other thing that needs to probably be said as well is that people definitely don't give the Knights enough credit for their forward pack.
Yeah,
they're not the biggest pack in the game. Don't get me wrong, they're not the biggest.
Yep.
But geez, if you're talking about heart, man. They got that.
Yeah.
They got that for sure.
Exactly right. You're not wrong. Adam Elliott had a good game again.
Another one. And I mean, you look, they gave us trouble, and we have one of the biggest packs.
Yep.
So
yep. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, Adam Elliott had another good game. Kai Pearce-Paul again. He's doing well for his first couple games.
Making a name
Knights.
for himself, man.
Yeah, exactly right. Coming over from Super League. Then you got your Frizzell, Saifides as well. They are all form of end of last year, still not there in my opinion, but they are making their way back, which is good.
You do have to also admit that Tyson is doing incredibly well for his age as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
For how long he's been playing, and
one of the old players in that team, and a forward at that.
A forward / I think, is he more centre at the moment? Actually, I can't remember what he's doing even now, but I know that he's
on the edge. I think.
Yeah, edge. Yeah. He's still a big boy though.
Yep. Yeah, definitely right.
Honestly, surprisingly injury free.
Yep, exactly right. So, 14-12 to the Knights there. Speaking about injuries, we did see a couple this round, which was rather unfortunate. I think first one that comes to mind being Big Tino, ACL, I think it was. So that's his season over. Another ACL. So
Walshy as well.
He's out. And Walsh is another one from the Broncos with that cheek fracture or whatever. That's another 6 weeks. So you'll see him and Haas probably sitting down for around about the same time. It's going to be
Queensland biased. You're Queensland biased.
Yeah, going to be a long time without those two key players. We don't know about Reynolds. Reynolds, I think, is being managed. It's a little bit of a day by day or week by week sort of thing at the moment. But I mean, you hope they don't get desperate and rush him back in before he's fully fit, because that's the last thing they need is injuring him even further. Really, I think. But
honestly, either of them.
Yeah, exactly right. We did lose Big Tino for Queensland there, unfortunately. I mean, we're not spoilt for choice as such in terms of forwards for Queensland, but we aren't down as bad as we have been the previous seasons. Where we're almost picking fellows just because we have to. But it is regardless a big loss for Titans. Titans, I mean, is the biggest thing there, being how hard they're doing it at the moment and losing one of their key enforcers and captain. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're already down bad, as is losing all the other people that they've missed. Like Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, Foz came back this week, but he had a bit of a bludger as well.
Yep.
Yep. Geez, who else is out at the moment?
For Titans or in general?
Titans.
Titans.
There's another one, but.
Yeah, they've suffered a few, it's just going to make life harder for them, unfortunately, at the moment. Last thing them and Desi needs. Collins, I think, pulled up a bit sore, a hamstring apparently, so whether they're managing that, Sandon Smith as well with his elbow, whether they're managing them and keeping an eye on them, I'm not too sure just yet.
And no one's really talking about the Roosters.
Yeah.
No one's really talking about like their injuries or anything like that, which is a bit strange.
Yeah.
So I hope they're not too bad. But I mean, realistically, you look at a hamstring anyway, you're probably 2 to 6.
Yeah, depending on
severity.
it may very well be a complaint. I'm not too sure what the severity is exactly right, whether they're going to manage it or whatnot. But just a couple of things to look out for. Toby Rudolph, who went off with an ankle injury, by the sounds of it. I didn't personally. I didn't really see that one happen, but it doesn't surprise me. They spent that whole game trying to defend, really, being probably one of their harder running forwards there in that game. A bit of fatigue. I'm not too sure, but
I think Toad just didn't want to be out there.
Yeah, possibly, maybe. Who knows?
Understandable.
Yeah.
Sorry, Toad.
And I think that's probably it. The big ones that I can think of, unless there's any other bigger injuries.
I think they finally announced when Munster was due. Round 5,
they figured it out.
I think round 5, so 2 more weeks.
It was a bit up in the air for a point there. No one really knew what was wrong or when he'd be back, which was a bit unfortunate, a little bit scary, but that's good to hear. I mean, him and Hughes will be back around the same time, which is something I think the Storm really, really desperately need at the moment.
I think Payne is set to come back around the same time. Walsh is set to come back as well, so that's similar sort of luck in that regard, I guess.
Pending recovery and whatnot, you're right. I think they will. They should come back roughly around the same time, which is something Broncos are going to sorely miss out on while they're gone, albeit for a bit longer than Melbourne's pairing, but
yeah, for sure.
Yep. Moving on, I think we might look at this week's fantasy tip, player to watch. So anyone that's playing NRL fantasy, it has played it for a few years anyway, I should say, probably realises how tough it is this year with picking up cash cows. There aren't as many as previous seasons where you can pick them up and almost bank on them to make you a solid amount of cash. So I'm a bit wary on naming cash cows and stuff at the moment. So I'm going to go with a mid-edge, so dual position player this week, player to keep an eye on, being Josh Curran for the Bulldogs. Now, he's one I had in my team originally at the start of the season, but just due to cost, I had to trade him out for someone a bit cheaper and keep a little bit of salary cap there. But I'll be chasing him this week. Few consistent scores from Curran, so it's a bit hard with the Bulldogs' forward rotation. You're not really sure how many minutes he's going to get or what he's going to score in fantasy anyway. But first 3 rounds, having a 47, 56, and 40. He's mid-range at the moment, being 572k, so his price is climbing. I think his break-even might be around 30 to 40 points, which he's managing to get quite easily and more. So if you need a mid or an edge, probably not bad of a shout to have a look at. Josh Curran there. So I think so far from what we've seen, other than when they've got the bye coming up, he's a safe one to pick just to score yourself that 40 to 50 something points, even if he's a bench player. Just that dual position, I think, will be quite handy.
Worth noting as well that they do have the Bunnies next week. Well, this week coming. So
I mean, from what we've seen from both sides, really, and
if there's a week to have him and try him out,
Curran in general, that's it. If you've got the cap, you can afford it, and you're needing someone, which personally I am with Lukey out. I think it's time to upgrade or probably sideways a little bit, but grab him for a bit and hold on and make a little bit of cash and reap some points, because I think he's going to be should be pretty strong against what we've seen the Bunnies dish up the last few weeks. What are you thinking for your try of the week? Now, I mean, we do this every 2 weeks, so whether it be try of the week or try the previous 2 rounds, we'll come up with what's most impressive, I guess. But what are your thoughts? It's
there was two that I'd go over, but I think ultimately I feel like you really just can't overlook that Xavier Coach try. I mean,
against the Warriors.
The last 10 seconds, everything's on the line. It's this is it,
Yep.
I feel like probably everybody in the bloody world's going to have it in there anyway if they're doing a similar segment. Anyone really talking about the NRL is going to be talking about that try for a while. I mean, that was something special. That was just the way that they pulled that across the field. Harry Grant baiting in people, Paps baiting in people, and then he still had work to do against 2, and gets it done in that fashion. And with literally seconds on the clock till the end of the game.
DWZ it looked like right there on him as well. So
yep.
wasn't like you said, he still
it
had
wasn't
work
a slouch
to do.
effort. He had work to do, and he made it work. And I mean, it just really comes back to what we were talking about earlier about the Storm and Xavier Coates coming back into form, and that's stellar stuff. And if we're seeing that already, that was round 2.
Yeah,
that was round 2. We have 25 rounds left. Oh.
Amazing finisher.
Man,
just
we're
to add
in
on
for a good year. Good year for tries.
I mean, Coates known for his try finishing abilities. He's pulled out some pretty amazing tries over the years, but yeah, that one's probably one to go down in the ages. You're exactly right. Yeah, something I think that everyone's going to remember. I mean, it'll be the end of the season. I think that's probably going to be up there in contention with some of the best of the year, right? You won't be able to overlook that one.
And I know that everyone was poking fun at it in terms of Dom Young did it better last year. That was last year.
Yeah.
He got last year, and he can have last year.
Yeah.
Xavier's, you can't take it away from Xavier this year. That's fantastic.
It's by far the best we've seen so far.
It's anyone else's game to take it.
Yep.
But that was incredible.
Yep.
Well done, Xavier.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, moving on to round 4. We'll have a quick look at the matchups. Thursday night's game is Roosters against the Panthers. This will be probably another good game to watch, I think, considering both teams' form. Panthers somewhat a bit sketchy so far. I mean, as we've seen the last few years, similar slow starts and whatnot, finding their feet. But last week's game, they, like we said, they found their feet there and they really took advantage of the situation. So I think if they can hold their stuff together, you know what I mean, and Cleary can keep in form like he has been, then I don't think they've got a worry. It will be a tough game, like we we're talking about.
I think with no Collins, I think it's going to be pretty evenly matched on the forward side of things. It'll be up to JWH to really set the tone, I guess, for that.
Yep.
But realistically, this game is going to be pretty even. It's a bit of a coin flip, really.
Yeah, both big forward packs, like you were just touching on there. So I'm
locking in Panthers.
Yep. Yep, both big forward packs. Halves both going well. I mean, young, what's his name there? Sam Walker. Young Sam Walker. Coming. Well, I mean, he didn't leave. He wasn't injured, but I think they were worried about him having a head knock, and potentially having to stand down. He's going to be playing, so him and hopefully.
I would watch for the late exclusion though.
Yeah, hopefully Sandon Smith is good to go as well. Keep that pairing together. But yeah, I think it's going to be it will be a bit of a tough game. A lot closer than some of the last few rematches or games we've seen. So
definitely.
Myself, I'll probably have to pick Panthers. I mean, I said that a couple of rounds ago and got done in, but I'm going to have to pick Panthers on this one.
I just think they're going to win the control.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, relatively even teams in terms of size and whatnot, even packs. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to go Panthers.
I think I've got faith in Teddy on form, but I've got faith in Cleary on control.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Definitely a coin flip game though. Bet responsibly.
That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one for the opener of the round. Friday night we've got Rabbitohs Bulldogs, 17th place, lucky last, up against 12th place Dogs, who look to be on the up. Now Rabbitohs, as we said, they need to sort themselves out sooner rather than later. Like if they're gonna give Dean Hawkins another run, hopefully they sort something out in training this week. I don't know.
I'm waiting for teamless here.
Yeah, exactly right.
If Ilias is not on that side, I'm going Dogs, 100%.
Yeah. Even with Ilias, I think there's probably some questions, but I agree with you. There's no teamwork. There's no combinations. There's a lot of individual players with individual brilliance at different times, but
my issue,
not together.
There's no effort.
Yeah, the effort, and that's right. The effort at certain times
is what
just
disappoints
lacking.
me more than anything.
Yeah, lacking. And some players, I've heard them post-match talk about it, and they acknowledge it, but it just hasn't seemed to change yet. Hasn't improved. So, poor old Rabbitohs, and dealing with that still. I think, probably smart bet. Wait till team lists come out. But from what we've seen, I will probably go Dogs as well for this one. It is at a core, so it's at Rabbitohs' home ground. I mean, albeit it's in Sydney, so we're not really...
I was going to say, I think Dogs are still comfortable with that.
Yeah, we're not really travelling or anything like that. But yeah, I'm thinking so far I'm going to tip the Dogs. We'll wait for team list, but I'm going to go the Dogs on that one with the early crow. The next Friday night game, the Derby. Everyone's everyone in Queensland's favourite Derby. I've got to think anyway.
It's one of ours for sure.
Yeah, exactly right. Broncos Cowboys down at Suncorp there. This one's going to be tough because years gone, that's what it's known for. It's generally always a tough derby, a tough game. The scoreline's super close and it's a battle the whole game. But Broncos, unfortunately, at the moment, just a little bit undermanned, a little bit of inexperience in the squad, a little bit of depth and direction lacking. So it's going to be tough.
I'm still scared of this one.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, Tristan Sailor's a freak.
You can't not be if he
is a freak,
and you've got to think he's going to get named. I can't see them.
I can't see him picking anyone else.
I can't see him putting Cobbo there and moving someone else into the centres. I don't know why they do that, but you've got to think they're going to put Tristan Sailor at fullback there. Which we've seen how good he was last year when Walsh was out for Origin duties, I think had a bit of suspension he was dealing with. But it's if we play anything like we have the last couple of weeks in the first 20 minutes, even the first half, it's going to be tough. I don't think, despite how badly the Broncos got beaten up last week early on, I don't think they're going to shy away. Like they're again going to be wanting to come back and really, really come back after that game. And
as long as they don't underestimate Tristan, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah,
but
yep.
That's the big one. Is just you can't go into that game underestimating kids like him because he is a freak.
Yeah,
he is a freak.
Yeah, exactly right. Someone that probably should be playing first grade already. Unfortunately, just kept out by a few players that are.
I mean, just Walsh in general. Like you had to look past him.
Yeah.
So and I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
right.
even interviews with young Tristan, he's Broncos through and through. I'm here. I'm a Bronco. It is what it is.
Wanting to apply his craft there. Yep.
I want to be a Bronco. I'm staying here. I don't care how long it takes for me to get it. I'm staying there and being a Bronco.
Yep.
Fair play to him.
Yep. So should be a couple, maybe 5 more rounds or so, 5-6 rounds with him in the fullback. You'd think. We'll see come Teamless Tuesday, but I'm tipping Cowboys. I'm always going to tip Cowboys no matter what.
We're always going to go Cowboys.
But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be an easy game at all. I mean, like I said, especially if we play the way we have been the last few rounds in the first half, it's going to be easy to get away from us. And I don't know whether the boys will be able to claw it back. But I think this will be a tough game, regardless. Even if we do,
for sure.
Even if we do shore up and sort ourselves out in that first half with the first half performance, I think it's still going to be a tough game. I mean, good to see Cowboys in first position. 3 going in 3 on the trot. So
it's different.
We haven't seen the first 3 rounds won since 2007. I think was the last time we've done that. So over a decade, man. But that should be a good game for Friday night. Saturday, you got Dragons and Sea Eagles. Now, from what both teams have been dishing up, I mean, there's probably no question Sea Eagles are the favourite here, right?
And I think with how the Eels finished off this week, the Eagles finished off this week.
Yep.
I think with how they finished there, they're going to be even hungrier.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna know they're gonna be versing a side that's a little bit down bad.
Yep.
But I don't think that's gonna matter. I think they're gonna come out and they're just gonna absolutely demolish them.
Yep. I tend to agree with you there.
I feel for Dozer. I really do.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, Dragons may bounce back. They may have a little bit more form or a bit more fight in them, but I don't think you can look past the Sea Eagles in this one.
Less experience, less manpower on paper.
Yep.
It's just Eagles for me all day.
Yep. Next game being Dolphins-Titans. Again, this is another one I don't think you can really look past the Dolphins on this one. They're coming off the bye, so again, form line, a bit hard to sort of look at. But after their round 2 performance against the Dragons, speaking about them, but against the Dragons, I think Dolphins are going to be looking to carry on that attacking form against a really under-strength, under-man, I don't think they've got any confidence at the moment either, myself, the Titans. So Titans really need to... Really,
it's a miracle they're not 17th.
Yeah, Titans really need to lift, I think, for this one, just to show any sort of confidence in them at the moment. Campbell may be back. That's another one we'll be waiting to see with Teamless Tuesday, but I don't think that's the answer.
I still don't even think they play him.
Yeah, well, whether they do or don't, exactly right. It's even if he does, I don't think that's the answer for them. So I don't think you can look past the Dolphins on this one myself.
It's Fins all day on this one. You look at both teams, how they both have some pretty star power out.
Yep.
But with what they've both got left over,
yep,
you've got to look. You got to say Fins no matter what. Really,
Yep.
This one seems like a foregone conclusion, but I'd love to be proved different.
Yeah, exactly right.
Double Derby though this week. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly right. You do love to see the Queensland derbies. Now Sunday's games. We've got Warriors and Knights.
Tough one.
This is a tough one, I think. Yeah, Knights really fighting and holding on this weekend. Just been so. I mean, you can't really say that Warriors going to walk over them in this one.
This is Warriors home though, right?
It is. Yeah, they're back home in New Zealand again. So
proper home, not Christchurch.
Yeah, yep. Proper home ground. So. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one, much like the Raiders game. I think it's going to be a bit tough. So
I think it's tough for any team to go over there, really.
Yeah, I'll wait and see what Teamless Tuesday has, but I'm still thinking Warriors initially.
Me, yeah.
Just again from what we've seen, I think Knights do have the ability if they can. If they can lock down some sort of form or consistency. That's the hard thing at the moment. You know,
I mean, when it comes to the Knights versus Warriors, I think you're looking at the mid. You're looking at the
mid. Up the middle, and both relatively decent sized packs. You know what I mean? I mean, Warriors probably the bigger pack, really, when you're talking about the up the middle of the field, the forwards and whatnot. But
again, you can't underestimate the heart on those Knights. Hey, I think.
Yep.
I think with how those forwards are playing, they're going to be the key to getting them going.
Ponga's been great too, despite some of the results. Ponga has been relatively great the last 2 rounds, so I think hopefully he can step up a bit. Dropping Hastings is tough, you're dropping the experience out of there for Cogger, who we all know what he did in the grand final last year. He's got the ability, but yeah, whether it's the right thing to do at the moment, I don't know.
Kind of Cleary-less at the moment.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, you don't have Cleary there with you helping steer the ship around.
You don't have Luai, man. So it's
yeah. It'll be a tough game, but I'm gonna have to pick Warriors initially.
I've got Warriors for sure.
Yep. Second game on the Sunday.
It's just so hard to beat them.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. Second game on the Sunday, Sharks Raiders. This one's PointsBet Stadium there, so that'll be a Sharks home game.
And this is going to be a bit of a rogue game, I feel like. I feel like the Sharks are going to take this week and go...
They have to, yeah.
Socks will get pulled up, boys. The Socks have got to come up here.
Yeah.
And I mean, you really should have thought about that this week as opposed to next week.
But, yeah.
But... I mean, dropping Tigers is a tough go, but now you've got to deal with the Raiders, man, and that's commiserations to any team who has to deal with that.
Exactly right. I think myself, again, Raiders going to be tough to beat, and it's not going to be a walkover by any means.
No, they'll make them work real hard.
They do, like they do all the time. They're a tough team to play, but
not.
And I mean, form-wise, the last couple of weeks probably slightly better, if not on par. But I think, Sharks are going to be looking to bounce back from what they dished up against the Tigers.
You got to look, Raiders just come off a loss too, so Ricky's going to be making them run real hard.
Yeah.
It'll be shoes on. It'll be bring your shoes to training, boys. There's no slouch.
Yep.
No slouch.
Yep. I'm backing myself personally, though. I'm backing Hines to have a comeback game and just make up for some of those silly errors.
He has to. Bro.
We know how good he can be.
And that's the thing. I mean, Hot Boy Hines. It's get the hair wet, bro. Come on out. Let's go. I've got Hines personally, but man, if Raiders win that game, I'm not gonna be shocked.
Yeah. It's another one. It'll be a tough game. It'll be close, I think. But yeah. And then Monday, we've got a Monday game being Easter weekend, Easter Monday. So
time to take the wind out of those sails.
Yep. With the Eels and Tigers now. This one could be interesting from what we've seen this week. Now, the average betting man would probably tip Eels because how can you put faith in the Tigers yet?
But $4
after last week. Yeah, that's a value bet if I've ever seen one.
Oh man.
But I would think
sports bet.
Yeah, I would think this is probably going to be one of those road games as well. I think the Tigers are probably they're not going to make it easy even if the Eels do, and I don't think they're going to make it easy on them.
I want to believe it, hey, I really do, but I just with the way that the Eels are known to play, I I mean, not making any slights or suggestions,
Mm.
but the way that they control the game and the way that they actually, I mean, even credit to their form as well at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I just find it hard to see the Tigers being able to stay in the game and then try and survive against them.
We just haven't seen enough from them yet.
Yeah.
Or, in my opinion, I haven't seen enough from them yet anyway to...
And I mean, this week was awesome. This week was awesome
Great
to
to
see.
see.
It was
Yeah.
amazing to see.
Yep.
And it really shows what potential they actually do have. But I've still got to go the Eels.
Yeah, yep.
It's hard to look away from them at the moment.
The smart money's on Parramatta anyway this week at the moment. Although, yeah, like we said, that being said, it's a value bet on the Tigers. If there's going to be an upset, this might be it this week.
Geez, $4 to Tigers to win. That's crazy.
Yep, but yeah, I'll go Eels. I'll say Eels for the Easter Monday game here on this one. I think that's probably about it for this week's episode. There's not a whole lot more to touch on at the moment. We've got the Life at the Outpost podcast for anyone that hasn't checked that out yet or isn't aware of it. Our All Cowboys, Everything Cowboys podcast. You can check that out. Head to Instagram and search us up, or we're now on YouTube, Apple Music, or Apple Podcast rather, and Spotify. You can find it on there. I'll see if I can chuck a link somewhere, maybe in the description of this video. But
Unwavering bias.
Unwavering bias. It's accurate description. So check that one out too. We're going to be releasing that weekly for all Cowboys fans and whatnot. But other than that, give us a follow for us here at Hit the Gap on Instagram, just to keep up to date with everything that's happening. And we might, any questions, any suggestions, anything you want to hear or see in the episodes, just swing us a message on there, leave a comment somewhere, and we'll endeavour to include it in, give you a little bit more content to whatever. I think we may even have 5 regular listeners now. Whatever any of you 5 want to hear about, let us know. Anything more for you before we sign off?
I think we've hit all the marks here. I guess the only thing from me is hope you all have a happy Easter. All 5 of you.
Yep. Good. Happy Easter and happy rugby league. Long weekend of football. Yeah, love to see it. Long week of rugby league and probably some really good games. Honestly, there's going to be some good ones here, so this should be good. Enjoy. We'll see you next week. Take care.